Assalamu alaikum. In today's lecture, we are going to start with Introduction to Structured Query Language or SQL. Okay. Ideally, a database language should allow us to create a database and table structure that is why we need table structure, because we want to perform basic data management functions like add, delete and modify, and also perform complex queries designed to change the raw data into useful information. So we want a database language that must perform such basic function, that is create a database and table structure, and also to perform queries on those tables and database to get useful information out of it. And this thing should be done easily. Syntax should be easy to learn, and it should also be portable, that is when you are going to move from one system to another system, from one RDBMS to another, you don't have to make any change in the basic command sets. So SQL satisfy all these requirements. We can say that SQL functions fits into two broad categories. One is data definition language. Okay, we say that SQL is a data definition language. It means that SQL include commands to create database objects such as table, indexes and views, and also commands to define access rights to these database objects. Okay. The second is, it is a data manipulation language at the same time. What it means that it is a data manipulation language, it means that it also include a command to perform different function on your table indexes and views, like insert, update, delete and retrieve data within your database tables. SQL is a very easy language to learn. Its basic command set has just a vocabulary of less than 100 words. If you look here in the next two tables, this is some of the basic commands set for data definition. Data definition mean how to create table indexes and views. So these are some of the basic commands in data definition, and this table shows us some of the basic commands for data manipulation. So it's really a easy to learn language, and it has a very basic vocabulary of less than 100 words. And another thing is, it is non-procedural language. There are no functions, no procedures in SQL. Why we call it non-procedural language? That it means that you just need to write a commands to tell the compiler what is to be done without worrying about how to do it. Okay. SQL is considered to be a standard language, uh, and after making it a standard language, it become easy to make it portable from one RDBMS to another RDBMS. If you move, you don't have to worry about the portability issue. It is very portable because because it is following ANSI standard. And last is that however we have several different SQL dialects, but their differences are very minor, very less. Okay. So whether you use Oracle or SQL Server or MySQL or IBM DB2 or Microsoft Access or any other RDBMS, you just need to look at the manual to just familiar with when you move from one RDBMS to another RDBMS. Okay, we start our chapter with data definition commands. So in order to learn these data definition commands, okay, data definition commands are the commands that are used to create table indexes and views. So for our practice, we are considering a database model, and in this model we will use these 5 tables: customer, invoice, line, product and vendor. And mostly we will focus on product and vendor table, and this is the database design or model that we are going to use. These are the business rule, and this is ER diagram which shows that what is the relation of one entity to another. And I think we have already done this example several times, so all of you are familiar with it. Okay, before you use a new RDBMS, you must have to complete the following two tasks. First task is you have to create the database structure, and then you will create table that will hold or store end user data. So in order to complete the first task, what is the first task? Create database structure. So in order to create database structure, the RDBMS create physical files that will store or that will hold the database. So when you create a new database, the RDBMS automatically create data dictionary table in which it store the metadata and create default database administrators. So we can say that creating the physical file that will store the database means it is interaction with the operating system and the file system supported by the operating system. Okay, creating database structure is the one feature that is maybe different from one RDBMS to another RDBMS. Like maybe if you are creating database in Oracle, it is different from Microsoft Access, okay, or so on. But it is relatively easy to create database structure regardless of which RDBMS you use. If you are using an enterprise RDBMS, then you must be authenticated by the RDBMS before you start creating tables. So what is the authentication? Authentication is the process which DBMS use to verify that only registered users should be able to access the database. So in order to authenticate, you must have to log into RDBMS using your user ID and password that has already been created by database administrator and share with you. And if you provide everything correct, then system has been authenticated to you, and now you can create database. In the SQL environment, what is a schema? It is a logical group of database objects like tables and indexes that are related to each other. So usually schema belongs to a single user or application. So it is possible that we have a single database and this database have multiple schemas in it that belong to different users or application, but a single schema belong to a single user. One schema belong to a single user or application. Most enterprises RDBMS support this command. Create schema authorization command is used to create a schema, and then we have to give the name of the creator who wants to create this schema. Like here I can say create schema authorization, and here creator or username, like in the book they give an example John's. So a schema will be created for the user John, but who can run this command? Only John, when he is logged into the system with his ID, can run this command. Like no other user can create a schema for another user. Okay, so they said that this command is used rarely directly because it is optional command. When a user is logged into the system, enterprise RDBMS, schema is automatically created for it, so you don't have to create a schema. Okay, data types that are supported by SQL. First thing we need to make sure is that data type selection is usually directed by the nature of data and the use of the data, where we are using it, how we are using it. Like, if we have an attribute price, it clearly requires some kind of numeric data type. If you define price as a character field, it is not acceptable. Similarly, vendor name. Vendor name is obviously should be a character data type. It should not be a numeric data type. So what should be the type of data? It is dictated by the nature of the data and its purpose or its use, where you are using it, what you are going to store in it. The basic data types that are supported by SQL are number, integer, small integer, decimal, character, date, time, timestamp, real, double, float, interval, day to hour, and there are many other. This table represents the data dictionary for the sample database that we are going to consider in this chapter. Like here we have a table product, and product have different attributes like code, description, uh, date, and different other attributes, and these are the data types that we use for it. Okay, what are these data types? Like varchar, date, small integer, number. So these data types we are going to describe in the next slide. Okay, first data type that is shown over here. Okay, we have different data types like numeric. In numeric we have number, L, and D. Now this L and D, L is representing the length of the number and D is representing the decimal values in the number or decimal places in the number. Like here if we declare a data type as number 72, it means number will be stored with 2 decimal places and total length of the number is 7 digit long, including sign and decimal places both. Okay, then another numeric data type is that is available is integer, that is also abbreviated as int, and integers are whole counting numbers, so they cannot be used if you want to store numbers that require decimal places. So if you want require decimal places, then you should use number LD, but integer is whole number. Small int is like integer, but limited to integer value maximum up to 6 digits. So if you are working with the small integer values, then you should choose data type as small int instead of integer. And then we have decimal LD. It is same like the number LD, but the storage length is a minimum specification. That is, greater length are acceptable, but smaller ones are not, like decimal 9 to decimal 9 and decimal all are acceptable. Similarly, for character data types we have different format, like char L, which is a fixed length character data type where you can store up to 255 long character string. But if you declare a data type as char 25, then it will use exactly 25 characters. Like if you are storing a smaller length string even into it, like here Smith, or this longer string, both will take up to 25 characters. So it will waste space if you want to store small string in char L, because it's a fixed length string. But varchar L is variable length character data, and like if we are declaring varchar 25, then you can store up to maximum 25 character long, but if the string is less than 25 character long, then that space will remain unused, so you can save space. For date, we have date data type, which is used to store date in Julian data format. A Julian date is sometimes used to refer to the date format that is combination of the current year and the number of days since the beginning of the year. Like if we want to represent, let's suppose we have a date like Jan 1st 2007. In Julian format we will represent this date as like this, 2007 and 001. Okay, this is Julian date format. And let's suppose if we have a date like okay, December 31st 2007, then in Julian date format it will be represented as 2007 and 365 number of days. Year combination of year and number of days since the beginning of the year. So this is the last date of the year, so 365 days and year. So this is Julian format. Okay, in order to create table structure, we use create table command. Like here, this is an example, create table and name of the table. You provide here name of the table, that you can give any name to the table, but as we know that for naming specification we should give a name that is understandable, and if somebody is going to see your table later on, they come to know that this table store data about what entity. Okay, so this is the command that is used to create table, name of the table, and then we have this like vcode. Vcode is the attributes of these table or columns of the table. Okay, and then data type, and then here some properties or constraint, like here we write not null unique. If we go back over here, it tells us that when you are creating a table structure, then when you write SQL query, you should follow some of the guidelines, like use one line per column definition. Like here, for each attribute, like each attribute should be defined on one line. Like no two attributes should be defined on a single line, because it makes it easy to understand and clean. Okay, then you should write your table and attribute names as capital letters. It's not like any restriction, but they said it is good if you give them capital letter names for your tables and attributes. And not null specification and unique specification, these specifications are related to the constraint that you can add for any of the attribute. Like if you don't want a user to keep that attribute empty, then you can have a specification or constraint not null. And if you don't want it to be if you want it to be unique, then you can add this unique specification. Okay, there is one attribute must be in the table, that should be a primary key attribute, and primary key attribute must have to contain these both specification, not null and unique. Why? Because these are the properties of the primary key. Primary key must not be null and should be unique. Okay, if there is any foreign key is in your table, then RDBMS will automatically enforce referential integrity constraint for it. And each command sequence end with semicolon. Like here, if you can see, this is one command. This is complete one command, and here it ends. When it ends with semicolon. So this table is a vendor table. Name of the table is vendor. It has how many attributes? 1 2 3 4 5 6 7, and the primary key is vcode. Okay, vendor code, data type integer, not null, unique specification. Why we have to put not null and unique specification? Because vendor code is our primary key. And then comma. Okay, comma is part of the syntax. Each attribute is separated from the other attribute of the table with comma, and this parenthesis also after the name of the table. It starts from here and end over here. Okay, and then each attribute in one line. Then we have vendor name. Data type is variable character up to 35 character in length, and specification or constraint we add over here is not null. Then vendor contact, again variable character, maximum 15. Area code character 3, because area code must be 3 character long. Phone number character 8. State, okay, character 2. Data type not null, not null. It's up to you, because here we don't want, if you don't want a user to leave this attribute empty when entering data, then you should add this not null specification with it. And here this definition finish, and we have to specify primary key of this table. Which is the primary key? Primary key is vendor code, and full stop. Okay, then we have another table like product table. Now product table have product code, product description, date and all these attributes, where product code is a primary key. Because it is primary key, so it should have not null and unique specification. Here we show that this is primary key, and vendor code is the foreign key. Vendor code in product table is foreign key reference. Okay, how to specify foreign key? Foreign key vendor code references to which table. This vendor code is part of which table. References is the reserve word, you must have to write it as it is. References to which table, it is part of which table. Vendor code is part of the vendor table, name of the table. And this thing on update cascade, it is representing, referential integrity constraint. This on update cascade specification ensure that if you make a change in any of the vendor's vendor code, that change will be automatically applied to all foreign key references throughout the system to ensure that referential integrity is maintained. So if you make any change in the main table, vendor table in the V code, that change will automatically apply to all the foreign keys wherever it is. As I already told you that RDBMS automatically enforce referential integrity for foreign keys. That is, you cannot have an invalid entry in the foreign key column. Like if you add some vendor code here in the product table which does not exist in original vendor table, then you cannot do so. And similarly, you cannot delete a vendor row as long as product row references that vendor. Like if you want to delete any vendor row from the vendor table and there is a reference in product table, you cannot do so. As we have seen in the previous example, we have different type of constraints like not null, unique, that we already seen. Not null constraint mean that the column cannot accept null values, you must have to enter something, you cannot keep it empty. And unique constraint mean that all values in the column are unique. Unique mean different. Default constraint assign a value to the attribute when a new row or when a new record is added to the table. Like you have a attribute like class of the product, and it has a default value y class. So every time when a new row will be added into the table, this attribute automatically get a value y, that is a default value. But the end user can change this default value to any of the value he wants. Then we have a check constraint. Check constraint is used to validate data when an attribute value is entered. Like when we enter data into the form, we have some validation rules for the different fields. So same is check constraint does precisely what its name suggests. Like it checks to see that a specific condition exists. Like for example, the minimum order value must be at least 10. So if you are going to enter a number uh, less than 10, then it will not accept. Or the date must be after, like let's suppose November 29 2020, so it will not accept a date uh, after this. So if the check constraint is satisfied for the specific attribute, the data will be accepted for that attribute. But if the condition is false, then error message will be generated and data will not be accepted for that attribute. Okay, here we have another example of the constraint on table customer. Before going into the detail of this example, I would like to tell you that we define constraints in two different places. One, when you create the column definition, you define a constraint that is called column constraint. Like here, customer code. Okay, the attribute name is customer code, data type is number, primary key is a constraint. Second is customer last name, attribute name, varchar 15 is the data type, not null is the constraint, it is a column constraint. Okay, and then we also use constraint keyword over here, in the last constraint keyword. When you use the constraint keyword, it is called table constraint. These are column constraints, like this is column constraint, this is column constraint, this is column constraint, column constraint. But when you use constraint keyword by itself, then it is called table constraint. A column constraint just apply to one column, but a table constraint like here may apply to many columns. And okay, now we also in this example use default and check constraint. If you see over here, customer area code, the attribute customer area code have two column constraint, one is default, another one is check. Okay, data type for this attribute is char3. We want our customer area code of 3 characters, and its default value is 615, not null. Not null is also a constraint. Default 615. What it means? It means that whenever a new row is added into the customer table, and if user do not enter any value for customer area code, it is by default will be added as 615. By default value will be 615, but end user can change it also. Okay, the second constraint on the same attribute is check constraint, and in check constraint we write here customer area code in 615713931, which shows that we will accept customer area code only one of these values. If end user enter any other value other than 6157113 and 931, it will be rejected. So here we have check constraint and default constraint on customer area code attribute. Then in the last here we have a table constraint. This last line of the create table command sequence, it create a unique index. This table constraint create a unique index. We give this index a name, customer underscore u index 1. Okay, and this index is created on the last name and first name. So when we this constraint or this index will prevent the entry of two customers with the same last name and first name. Okay, because here we write unique customer last name and first name. Okay, here we have another table example for table invoice, where we are creating a table name invoice. The primary key for this table is invoice number. Customer code. Now you know that customer code is primary key in customer table. In invoice table, customer code is a foreign key. So here they write customer code is the name of the attribute, type is number, we want it not null, and references customer code. So here it shows that this is a foreign key. This customer code attribute references the table customer attribute customer code. Okay. Then invoice date is the attribute, data type is date, default value is the system date. If user is not going to add, then by default invoice date will be the current system date. And then we have a constraint, so it means it is a table constraint. Name of this constraint is invoice underscore check 1. Okay, and this type of constraint is check, with check that invoice date should be greater than to date this that is 1st January 2010. So our invoice date must be greater than this date. If there is any date less than this, then it will be not accepted. To date is a function which just specify the date format. Like here when we write date in this format, it is converted to day, month, and year. Okay, in the database, indexes can be used to improve the efficiency of searches and to avoid duplicate values in different attributes or column. So you can declare unique index on a selected attribute when the table is created. But when you declare attribute as a primary key, then your DBMS automatically create a unique index on your primary key. But sometimes with primary key you might need any additional indexes as well, so you can create index with create index command. If you need additional indexes other than primary key, you can create those indexes. The command that is used to create index is create index command, and you can create index on a single attribute or multiple attributes. Okay, you can add any number of attributes to create index on it. So if you create index on more than one attribute, then it is called composite index. That is an index based on two or more attributes, and it is used to prevent data duplication, so that you do not want to add a same data two times, data duplication. Okay, this is the definition of the third table, that is line table. The name of the table is line, and this line table have primary key, invoice number and line number. So invoice number is a number, not null. Line number is number, LD, length is 2 and decimal is 0, not null. And then product code varchar 10, not null. Then line unit is a number, and default value line price. Okay, this is the data type, this is the default value, and it should not null. Okay, what is the primary key in this table? This table has two primary keys, composite primary key, two attribute as a primary key. One is invoice number, another one is line number. Okay, invoice number reference the invoice table, and line number is over there, same. And invoice number is a foreign key over here. And then we have another foreign key over here, which is product code, which is reference the product table. And we have one constraint also over here, that is a table constraint, and we the name of the constraint is line underscore UI1. And what is the constraint? We want invoice number and product code to be unique.